Welcome, my whiskey hunters. Thanks for joining me this afternoon for another story, another review, and some tips. Oh. Yes, I am smelling my fingers. You know, I just grabbed the bottle I had poured about 15 minutes ago, and there was some whiskey on the outside of the bottle. And you know, you get in your hand, instead of wiping it off on a towel or your pants, whatever the case is, if you take that little bit of whiskey in your palm or on your fingers and you rub your hands together and then put it up to your nose, you can smell the essence of the cask that bottle came from. You truly can. Next time you get some on your fingers, try that. You'll see. So, the hunt. This happened, in fact, this came in just the other day. Last week, one of my Scotch addict buddies in my group was telling me that he had been introduced to somebody on the internet that had some bottles of whiskey available. And he was telling me about some of the bottles that he was shown, and he was getting himself a Glenfarclas 25-year-old and a Glenfarclas 21-year-old from the early 90s. I happen to have those bottles, so I didn't feel that left out. I wouldn't mind having an extra of each of those. But I asked him, would you mind mentioning my name to this person and see if it's okay if I reach out to him? And he did, and the person said it was okay. So I reached out to him, and we started talking, and this gentleman's out in New York, and I'm in the West Coast. And it turns out he had a passion for whiskey, but he's lost it. He's been into bourbons the last few years. So he sees no need to keep his bottles that he's had since basically the early to mid 2000s. I said, I want to help you make space on your shelf. So he sent me pictures of some of the things he had, and I was pretty amazed at what they were. You just can't find these for the most part anymore, and it's from a distiller that I happen to love. They're a boutique bottler, and I love what they put out, and that's Compass Box. I have Flaming Heart, Circus. I'd love to have a General, but I don't. But everything I've ever tasted that they put out is just fantastic. John Glazer, the owner, is a mad genius. They're all blends, but they counteract what they say about blends, like they're too standard. His juice is just unbelievable. So let me show you what I got. What I was fortunate to come by this week, and it was just by word of mouth, talking to a person who happened to talk to a person. And if you don't put it out there, it's not going to happen for you. So it's just about talking to people. So the first thing that the first bottle I want to show you, these are all Compass Box, by the way. And this is 6 of 10 bottles that I got from him. The other 4 will be here tomorrow or the next day. And in my next review, I'll show you those. So first up is a, can you see that? Of course you can. A New York blend, Great King. This was only produced 1 year at 46% ABV. They only made 840 bottles of this juice. That's it. 1 year, 1,840 bottles, and I'm lucky to have one. It's 80% malt, 20% grain. It's Kleinlich, Lafroig, and Ardbeg that make up the distillers of this blend. Oh, I should say there's Lechaig in it. I'm sorry, there are more. Lechaig, and Ben Riach. This was bottled it was put out August 27th, 2012. It was presented at the 2012 Whiskey Fest in New York, and Whiskey Advocate asked John Glaser if he'd produce a bottle the year before for their upcoming Whiskey Fest, and this is the bottle he produced. He dedicated this bottle to a gentleman named Patrick Duffy, who was a bartender in the 1890s, and he was responsible as instigating the bringing bottled scotch into New York back in the late 1800s. He was the first to instigate that and help bring that forward. So, Great King New York Blend. Our next bottle is another rare one. This is bottled in 2004. It's 46%. You may have, well, it's a normal bottling now, but this is the, I think the second year it came out. The Peat Monster. The first year it came out, it was called The Monster. And it was done at Park Avenue Liquors in New York. The next year, it came out with this label and was called the Peat Monster. Wow. I've had the Peat Monster, but not a 2004. This is Colilla, Lafroig, and Ardmore. So that's bottle number 2. Let's see. Now this bottle is one of my favorite expressions from Compass Box. In fact, I have 2 of these that was released last year. I believe it won Blend of the Year in 2015, and it won Blend of the Year in 2011. This is the second batch release. It's the Flaming Heart. Now you've probably not seen a label quite like this before. The color's just, well, it's a dark bottle, but the color's amazing of this. This Flaming Heart was released, like I said, in 2007. It's batch 2 at 48.9%. They only produced 2,100 bottles of this expression that year. Its bottling number is FH16MMVII, which stands MMVII is Roman numerals for 2007. So I'm fortunate to grab this bottle as well. One of my favorites. Next is Spice Tree. And I just got the new Spice Tree limited release that came out at the same time as the 3-year-old released, I don't know, 6 months ago. This is a 2006 release. It's 46% ABV. This bottle was banned. In fact, 2005 and 2006 had this label. There was an inauguration label on the 2005. The Scotch Whisky Association banned Compass Box from producing this after 2006, and it did not come back into production until 2009. The maturation, well, the second maturation they used was with new French oak sourced from a 195-year-old forest. And they air dried the oak for 2 years, and they heavily toasted it per Compass Box specifications. They inserted the new oak in the form of flat staves into used whiskey barrels that were otherwise been thrown out, and they rejuvenated them by putting those staves in there. Well, the SWA heard what Compass Box was doing, and they wouldn't allow it. They said it wasn't appropriate in making scotch, that it was never done by anybody before, so they could not continue the practice. As a matter of fact, they threatened to take them to court if they continued. Compass Box stopped, and as I said, they didn't bring it back until 2009 when they no longer used that practice. This is Clynelish, Glen Elgin, Tiamanich, or Tian Amich, I believe it's pronounced. Delaware, and it's an amazing bottle to get. I don't think I'll find another one of these. May have messed up some of that pronunciation. Distillers I'm not used to. The last bottle I got in this batch is Delilah's. You've probably seen this before. It's a 2013 bottling. They only bottled this 1 year. It's at a 40% ABV. It's a great label. Delilah's was is a trendy night spot in Chicago, and this bottle was created by John Glazer for their 20th anniversary. And this bar, Delilah's, was voted whiskey bar, best whiskey bar in the United States on multiple occasions. It's got 50% Cameron Bridge in it, grain whiskey. It's got 12% Glen Elgin, and it's got 38% Teaninich. It was created to go with beer. So I've seen these, but I've never seen them in a store. So those are the bottles I got. I've got a few more coming. I'll tell you that it was a ridiculously cheap price. I mean, ridiculous. Maybe the price that he paid in the mid to early 2000s for these bottles. He just wanted to get rid of them, and he paid for the shipping. Very nice guy. So we're going to have a taste of a bottle that I've had out for about maybe a year and a half. It's been open. It comes in a great container. In fact, they've got a number of series of these cask strength whiskeys, and the containers look the same. The print is a little different, and they have a different picture of different distillery employees on each tin. This is Bruichladdich Port Charlotte PC10, the PC being the cask series of the Port Charlotte. So it's a different taste profile than your regular Port Charlotte. I was lucky enough that I bought a number of different PCs when they came out. PC5, PC6, PC7. The PC5s today are so rare. They only produce 6,000 bottles, and really they're upwards to $800 to $1,000 a bottle if you can find them from a collector. PC6 won Whiskey of the Year by Jim Murray of the Whiskey Bible, and I think he rated it 95.5, 95.6 points that year. This is the bottle. I've only dented it not even halfway in the year and a half. The nose, I'll tell you that I haven't had this in 6 months at least, and it's settled down. And I don't mind whiskey settling down. I like it. I like oxidation to them. Of course, when they're younger, they're going to oxidize more than if they've been in the barrel 20 years, 25 years. They've done their oxidation in that barrel. So here we have, there's the color. I would say that this is a honey gold. Let's see what those legs look like. You know, the tears are slow to form. There they go. They're starting to drop now. It's a young whiskey, but it certainly looks oily for a young whiskey. Let's have a nose. The smoke has calmed down a lot. It's not that in-your-face impactful smoke it was at first, so it's rounded it out. And I could have put gas on this to preserve it, but I let it oxidize. So it's still smoky. It's 40 ppm per bottle, and that's phenols. And phenols is a class of chemical compounds, and they're related to You find that in peat. You know, even expressions that say that they don't use peat, if they're in a region where there's a lot of peat, like Iowa, you'll still detect it. Even in the Bruichladdich, where there's no peat, you can still taste a little peat sometimes. So I'm getting bonfire, campfire smoke. That nasty smoke, and I don't mean nasty in a bad way, I mean it in a good way, is mellowed a lot. The bonfires settle down. You get citrus fruits marrying with the smoke, so you're getting a lemon, lime, blood oranges, sherry, almonds. It's really a nice nose. The combination of the smoke with the citrus and the sweetness of the sherry is a really great combination. It's a really well balanced expression for a 10-year-old. And the PC numbers stand for the age. PC 5 years old, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think they're up to 13 now, maybe. I'm not sure. On the palate. That smoke is the smoke is certainly there and coats your mouth. It's oily too. It coats your mouth, but then the smoke settles down a little bit to be somewhat ashy, not in a bad sense. It tastes good. Kind of smoked sardines a little bit. I'm getting bonfire marshmallows, where you toast the marshmallows on a stick. They catch fire a little bit, burn slightly, and they got a charred kind of smell with the marshmallows. That's what I'm getting from this. Let's have another taste. Sweet cereal, malted barley, playing off the tang of the citrus fruit, lemons and lime. It's an interesting combination. The sherry's there, of course. There's a pepper, vanilla, sweet vanilla, oak. Again, the smoke and the fruit and the citrus are marrying together. There's kind of biscuits, cinnamon graham crackers, kind of a brown sugar graham cracker. Let's put a tad bit of water in just to see how that changes that profile. Put a drop in and a drop on myself. It certainly settled the smoke down. Normally I'd be letting this sit a good 5-10 minutes with the water even. It settled it down a lot. It's made it a lot more round. More of the fruitiness comes out. Taste. It's got a nice tingle. I'm getting bananas. Yeah, definitely more fruit, caramel, shortbread. It's still got that oiliness even with the water. The finish on this is long. It's drying. It's got peppers and cloves. It's kind of like an extinguished fire. It's good. It's a great dram. Come here, kitty. Come here, kitty. Baggins came by. Hey, bud. Give me your bud. This is, I think he was in my first video. This is my whiskey cat, Baggins. Good kitty. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe. I've got a blog at whiskyhunter.net and Instagram at, well, The Whiskey Hunter, no E in whiskey. I appreciate you joining me. I will see you next time. Y'all take care now.